Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Glad to have you all here. I'm with my friend, Frank Leutz. Hi, Frank.
Hello, Mr. Carm. Happy Monday.
Hey, same to you, bud. Hey, we all know someone who's been affected by breast cancer in some ways. Now, did you know that our aftermarket service repair industry has a great initiative started by two shop owners? It's Breaks for Breasts, which has so far raised $1.8 million for a vaccine for triple-negative breast cancer. 100% of every dollar for the vaccine for triple-negative breast cancer goes to the Cleveland Clinic. They're in clinical trials. It comes up in October, breaksforbreast.com. We are a big supporter of it, and we wish that you would go to breaksforbreast.com and figure it all out and get on board. Frank Leutz, one of my earliest, I started in March of 2015, and I found you somehow, don't ask me how, and you came on in June of 2015 as one of my earliest guests, Frank. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it was on the corner. It was in the corner by the garage and was putting a sign, come see us, we fix cars. Then we got together or something to that effect. But no, it's always great. An honor to spend time with you, Carm.
We heard your story about playing music. I mean, God, I started to realize that, you were a larger than life character. Anyway, you found Desert Car Care out in the great state of Arizona, and you are now in your location in Cave Creek. What's Cave Creek all about?
Yeah, so I'm amongst the Cave Creekers up here at Cave Creek. That's just north of Scottsdale. Just real quick, we had sold our Chandler and Dobson location, 20 years at that location. They wouldn't sell me the property in a nutshell, and I wanted to buy the property. And so it was a very, very tough decision. We sold it on a hunt for commercial property, and we'd found this. This is we're grateful to be up here, great community. Wonderful two-story building. We've got tenants up front and a wonderful shop in the back as we've been posting that up on Facebook over the last year.
How nice and listen, here Frank is telling you, he's whispering to you, please own the property, right?
I just felt, look, the industry put pressure on me. They all said, Frank, you don't own the property. I've been doing this since 1960 and I don't own property.
Yeah, exactly.
In all
right.
reality, I mean, that should be something that we all strive for. So it just worked out. And I didn't at the time I actually wanted to take a little break as well, work on Wrench Nation and a few other things and spend time with family, but it all worked out.
Wrench Nation. Oh my God. Frank, when did you start that? How long ago?
It's 8 years, over 300 episodes. We try to crank out. For a while, it was really weekly. And then we decided the substance of content and garnering these guests. It's an automotive lifestyle show dealing with a lot of PR firms. We're slow moving. These had to be done right. And so now we're doing 2 or 3 a month and having fun with it.
Good for you. I follow. You have really branched out and gotten some really exciting guests. You're covering just about any topic that I think you wake up dreaming about.
It really is a journey. Like a lot of this has just been a growth learning lesson for me. But I mean, to have like employee number 16, Nick Sutton from the DeLorean company, tell that story, and New York City traffic commissioner talking about his latest book and how we could be arrested for driving mid-century in certain municipalities. So, I mean, just amazing topics. I get to work with some pretty amazing people sharing the story and highlighting the industry, really, whether it's a local rock star garage or we get A-listers like Richard Rawlings on. So, I mean, it's just been a beautiful thing.
Good for you. So happy for you. On our Remarkable Results Radio community, we do some crazy posts every once in a while and just ask people what's on their mind. And you got back to me with some things. You said people count versus car count ideology. And you said that you'll save number 10 through 25, 25 crazy points.
It was a tease.
And I know it was a tease. And so of course it was a tease. And I said, Frank, come on, let's talk about this. And I love these pointers. And I think it's going to be great for our audience. And maybe we'll just, rock someone's world to hear Frank's perspective on this.
I think most of us in the industry, we strive for excellence and we're under hood and we're training but I think at the end of the day, it's very easy to fall into this sort of expert trap, as I'd like to call it. I mean, we work hard for that label, but I think at the end of the day, everyone we serve, our audience, whether it be the youngest tech on the squad, an L1 master, or our consumer, they need to be the hero of our operation. And really, that's the ideology that for at least the last 10 years, it hasn't always been that way with me. For the last 10 years, 12 years solid, I just try to incorporate that mantra.
Frank, does our customer want us to be the expert or just someone they can trust without saying this valve clicks into that valve and this tab A goes into tab C?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in our heads. If you think about it, convenience, did I fix it properly? And then we sort of manage the time frame. We all know the big misnomer is that folks want it for cheap. If we're providing the value of meeting the times we're trying to honor, providing them with rentals, providing them with loaners, most of us are doing that. But the idea is to make them the hero and make your squad the hero with that. Your experience, as we are consumers ourselves, dictates the outcome. And I wouldn't put expert. I would put, did they get me through life as I needed my life back with my vehicle? And so I'm careful on the whole expert thing. I do a lot of work with TV and radio, and I get journalists that say, we got our expert. And I'm like, I don't want to be called an expert. I just want to be able to educate the consumer, try to do it in an entertaining form. And I think most great shop owners and middle management, upper management, they get it. We can have tough days, but what gets us through that? Am I going to approach my young tech and have this, I'm the expert? No, I'm in here with you. And that's the mantra that we can pass on, as well as the consumer. I think your audience has to be the hero. They have to feel like they're in control. They have to feel like they had something to do with the process. And I think if we can think that way, Carm, of course we're training and we're the technical wizards of what we do. We know this. Yeah. But go to a doctor, go to a surgeon. He'll set your mind at ease and let you know that he's done 200 of these procedures, but immediately he's getting to the human spirit of who you are, getting ready to go under the knife and making you comfortable. I think that's about.
Story Brand is the book, and I do believe, and God, I just drew a mental blockage on this, Frank, when you talk about hero. And in that book, I think they're talking about being the guide for your people. They brought that Star Wars analogy as to where Obi-Wan and Luke was in this whole scenario in your head, and being the hero to a customer, which is why they want to come back, and they want to come back often, and they want to come back because they trust you. Frank's not the expert. He's just the guy that takes care of me. He makes my car safe and reliable, and that's why I go back. And I love your point, because you're on TV and radio all the time, but you never come through as the only person who knows everything. You're not all world, Frank. You're just one of their friends.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's got to be human to human. I mean, of course, with TV and radio, and you know what? In our businesses, we can do a very nasty thing, which is normally, and it's human. You have to sort of think that it's happening. You have to sort of role play it. We like to self-monitor, that's a real deal. So with your business, you're doing all that behind the scenes. And we all talk about providing that service experience so we can charge $220, $240, $280, $300, whatever we want to charge, and earn that through an experience. I believe that front showroom lounge is the time to perform and allow your clients to perform on their end. And so, look, for me personally, I'm not on a mission to open up hundreds of stores. And some would argue, well, Frank, you can't pull that criteria off with 30, 40, and 50 stores. And it's much more difficult, but I beg to differ. I think there are some case examples in the industry where they really get down to micro. And at the end is decision simplicity. We can talk about culture and that ideology and that positive vibe. The more simple we make our operations, we now have time to just enjoy it and really, engage in what would be the goodness that we're doing. I mean, we are. So I believe in that. And I think in how I parlay to my management over the years, if we make a mistake and we had something fall apart, Where was the simplicity that we missed? And it is as simple as can be. I'll give you an example. We currently have the CDG outage with dealerships, and I hope they recover from that. That's a bad hair day if you've owned 20 dealerships and you're somewhat stuck in stone. But what are we doing if something were to happen like that? How do we keep it as simple as can be in transition? Navy SEALs that keep it all simple, and they sort of fragment the command. They sort of decentralize that. So I don't need to work. Part of my goal isn't to make as much money as I want to make. It's I want my time. And so the simpler we have our outfits, and also keeping that ideology of everyone's the hero on our watch, even when we make mistakes, and we'll get to that here.
I love what you're saying. I think the listener has got to stop for a moment and think this through really, really hard about the simplicity of decisions that you want to make. It goes back to, and I'm trying to remember, could it have been Marianne Croce? And I don't know, talked about if you're going to make
Marianne's a rock star.
Yeah, she is. If you're going to do any kind of SOP or write a policy, no more than 5 steps in it. And that's immediately what I thought, Frank, is sometimes we make things too complicated in our own world, and it's the customer who's actually getting squeezed.
And then they get squeezed. We get squeezed. When I was a younger operator back in the mid 90s, my first place, man, I was so squeezed. I was squeezed to not sleep. I had cars and no money. And, you sort of learn at the end of the day. So we have this sort of perception. Well, let's get back to basics. Like a lot of our younger shop operators, and it's to be well respected. It's a big step. I'm going to open my little 2-bay. And the chest pounding comes around, and everything's in head. It's got to be done a certain way. And then that's right. That should be fine. It has to be, your metrics have to be honored. But at the end of the day, you're a human being. The day you lose the ability to really enjoy coming to your place, I found myself after selling my first place, after 6 or 7 years, I said, I got to do this differently. And of course, long story short, that was with some great coaching, Oral O'Connor back in the day. But the idea here is that we do have to breathe. We have to breathe our businesses. And, I think a lot of people will say, well, Frank, that sounds cliche and we're comfortable hanging out here. But in the heat of the moment, I think it's the first thing that any legit team is going to do with some sort of guidance and leadership is to say, you know what, part of this building's on fire, but let's step back and let's breathe, right? And I think that's what we should be training on, because guess what happens? We get into this sort of mindset, and everyone's rotten, everyone is bad, everyone made a mistake, and it just turns it into such a terrible grind when we can solve problems by taking the first moment of breathing. That's why I believe that everyone in the organization, and they'll do it differently, and I have an idea to send, we should all be in sort of a meditative state at times, and we do it our own way. And a lot of our viewers and listeners may say, hey, that sounds kind of cheesy, but we are responsible for so much, whether it's the young man or woman that's just starting with your outfit or your L1 master. Part of my mantra in the shop, guy wants 2 days, my people get as much time off as they want. That's how I lead it. Now, they're going to take advantage and take 6 months off? No, but they know. And whatever it means in their world, I mentioned an L1 master who's a great guy. He wants to take time off because he's a marksman. He loves shooting. How's that going to hurt my business to give the guy a little meditative state in what he likes? And I think that should be the ideology, whether you have a micro 3 to 5 or whether you have 20 stores. People are precious. And many of us listening right now and watching this, they realize that. But it's in the heat of the moment how we lose that precious ability.
I love this, Frank. I saw this written on your list, allow all to breathe. And the first thing I thought about was when times get tough, and I'll tell you, I don't know how anybody can get by a day without having something happen that could be either, bad or a good thing. And you say breathe, and then you hit it. You hit the mark. Sometimes it's just about what's upstairs. It's that meditation moment. So instead of maybe possibly physically breathing, stop. Don't overreact. Pause for a moment and find out what really this is about. Overreacting, I think, gets us in some deep trouble.
And I got to bring a story up. I had a younger gal, we mentor, and now we've been here 1 year at Cave Creek. In fact, we hired a mentor today. He'll work half a day, but I had a younger mentee, young gal that started with us, and she would just stress out. She just, for whatever reason, obviously there was a lot of stuff going on in her personal life. And I said, it's as simple as this. Because when we say breathe, we each breathe a different way. It's not just sitting there breathing, right, with the flowers. It's the physical transition of the state we're in to bring us in a different. So I told the gal, I said, listen, one of the reasons why we have cold water over the sink is because you're going to take time out. Let me show you how to do this. And had her just wash your face with some cool water, sit down in the AC and relax a little bit and just transition. And to many of us listening now, oh, Frank, that sounds cheesy. But again, it is in the heat of the moment with people, because what happens is we end up elevating. So that didn't happen. Management didn't see what should have took place. Now we're elevating. Let's see how we're going to do this. Then this one is over here. And then next thing you know, everyone is about to blow up, or worse yet, I had been in this situation many, many years ago. Well, if you can't do that, you're not in part of my deal. You're fired. And that's just a terrible way to do it. People are precious across the counter, behind the counter. You know, I've been reflecting a lot. And I think sometimes we can be too cynical as an industry. And some of that is because we're releasing pain, like we're releasing the stress and pressure. Customer wants to bring their own parts. Customers complaining. 1-star review from someone that you didn't even do business because you quoted them over the phone. And so we always have this burden. And so it's very easy for us to be cynical. Somewhat related, why not create an ideology like this, not only for your organization, but with these kids that are coming in, or a retraining adult, because what they see is the cynicism. And then they see, okay, I got a half-baked paycheck and I see the cynicism. That's not for me. I think it's important. I think it's real important. And it really doesn't translate only to our younger, inexperienced people. We have concerns with a 20, 25-year individual that, or 30-year that may be aging out. So I think it's a win across the board.
I love your point. Cynicism. Can we get rid of it? Can we be coached to find?
It's therapy, Carm. It's therapy. Listen.
All right. That's what I was looking for.
I've examined it. I don't like it. Try to worry about what I do, and you worry about what you do. But I think those in the industry should really sit back and say, okay, is this healthy? The cynicism. And meanwhile, I'm going to go back and I'm going to cook a barbecue, but I'm going to be cynical at the root of all of this and the industry that we're in. And I really think that those in the industry, it's not good enough to just build something, keep yourself busy. There is an ideology. What are you leaving? What are you leaving for that next man or woman? For those that are in the exit mode, what are you leaving? You're going to cash out a paycheck, and then what? Like, what legacy can you leave within the people that you work with? And I don't want to sound like a street corner preacher, but it's real. Right now, the shortage is real. Everybody knows it. Everyone seems to be struggling for it. It has to start within our own selves, and we're not going to have perfect. So how do we sort of get that culture and that vibe going to where we can get close to that as a team? We know the shortcomings over here, but to be cynical, if you want to call it therapy, as I have, it's therapeutic for people to be cynical, bashing the next shop or bashing. How long can you bash the consumer before you decide that maybe I brought that into my place?
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and NAPA Auto Care has a solution with the NAPA Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jeg Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself, and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The NAPA Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through NAPA Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, NAPA Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. Let me be so bold and stretch this idea that if you're cynical, you're really hurting your people, yourself, your business, probably your family, the industry. Get out.
Yeah. Or you know what? Go to a good training session. Many of them across the country. All right. Look, we see the same faces at training sessions, right? So if you're that individual listening to this for the first time and you say, well, I don't have time for that. It's not just to get the training, but it's to see the war wounds of someone like myself or many others in the industry that say, hey, time out. Let's just start with the basics of attitude and aptitude. And that really bleeds off on an individual to sort of keep going in the right direction. Because you can easily do this for 3 to 5 years, and you're that shop operator, and your health starts to go down, and your wife is disgruntled, your spouse is disgruntled, you don't know your kids. So I think at the end of the day, it is absolutely people count versus car count. We all want cars. The people count is really what should be the mantra for all of us.
Let me share with you a thought that I had just recently. I wrote a blog about this, Frank, about going to night school. Now, bear with me as I explain what I mean. And I had this outer body moment, and I said, God, let's go to night school. Maybe we can't. Maybe there's not a course on automotive repair shop management. I don't think I'm going to find that at the high school or the college. And I was relating night school to hiring a coach or becoming part of a networking group. Go out and listen to your peers, learn to take your ego away, take the facade away, and start sharing your issues, your problems, the concerns that you have, and start learning. Night school comes from everyone in the industry and potentially hiring a coach.
Yeah, some of us will make it entertaining. You'll have midnight school. But I think, look, our industry is a beautiful thing. We've got so much going for ourselves, but I think as a new day and mindset, that night school really needs to be where we just realize we're not machines, we're not robots, we're striving so hard for numbers and all this kind of stuff. And why didn't my lead tech, he's so good for 50 hours a week. He's had a couple of weeks of 30 hours, and it's this examination of beating the individual as opposed to finding and seeking solutions. We don't live in a perfect world, but I think it helps to approach and recover by just breathing and being human about it. I wanted to give an example because we're always, we're at Best Places to Work by Phoenix Business Journal, top 10 ranking Arizona, and none of this came away from, sort of planning anything. It was sort of this organic thing. I mean, for us to be approached, hey, as a micro business in the community, to be Small Business of the Year, it's because of the way we celebrated our people. So obviously when I sold Chandler, I had some time off, and then we opened and found this beautiful location here. It's been a year, and as everyone knows, in the beginning, it could be messy with people. But now we've got a pretty solid team in place the last 6 months. And so I was waiting and chomping on the bits for us to get to one of these culture building team kind of things. It's beyond just cooking a barbecue. So each technician is going to build out their garden. We're going to have a section where each man and woman, right now it's all men, although I've got Dee up front. She's lovely. But we're each going to have our little garden. And of course, the summer gets tricky in the desert where it's 100 gazillion degrees. But the idea is, what are we growing within that? What can we kind of splinter into some, fun and growth? Most technicians love growth. They really do. They like finding something broken and they want to grow. I mean, in general, that's our industry. So let's grow some vegetables is what I'm saying.
I love it. Let's get tomato pots and let's at the end of the
Yes.
season taste each other's tomatoes and say, who's going to make the best sauce?
I'm telling you, we could go far with this. You never know, but
That's a great idea. I love it.
We'll be starting that in the fall, and it's not designed to be a competition, but they each will take care of their plot of farming. If we're lucky, we can grow stuff, and we pass them on to our consumers that come in. There you go.
So an open door policy. People can talk to you about just about anything, Frank?
Yeah. I get very personal. I think small business is that way in general. I learned that from my uncle in Germany. My mother used to ship us to Germany, and I helped. I was 7 years old. My uncle had a beer delivering business. I think I've posted up some of these pictures in the past, and I'd help him. And he always told me, here's the function of what we do, but it's the people, it's the smiles. And what I learned is that when you smile a lot as a child working, you can put your hand out and you get paid a lot of marks. It's like, look at a little kid working. I'm being silly with it, but my point is my uncle Günther in Germany really translated what it meant to work hard and celebrate people. Bottles would break when we're delivering, stuff would happen, but at the end of the day, it's really celebrating the people.
No one eats alone ever. I love that. What's that mean?
We don't. In spirit, in theory, if one man or woman has a problem in life, it becomes our problem. I can't solve them all. So when we have a collective, I've got one of my technicians who abruptly was told he's got 30 days to leave his apartment. We jump in. You need a truck, you need whatever you need. And that's, we don't eat alone. Now, physically, we don't eat alone. That's legit. But I think spiritually, there should be no man or woman down in your operation. And it can't just come from me, because I may work 20 hours a week. I'm not there all the time. I want the next in line and the next in line, and from the bottom on up to sort of have that vibe. And it works. It's not
I love
perfect,
it.
but it helps.
Frank, it's a metaphor. I love it. No one eats alone ever. We're there to support each other. Do you see that that's a problem in auto shops today?
Carm, my take on this is, and I mentioned this, I was speaking at, it was either SEMA or Apex, and this is when, that new F-150 Lightning, 100 million lines of code, it's coming. And then we had all of this advent of remote aided programming and assistance. And I raised my hand. I said, heck yeah, we need to jump all over that. The industry is overwhelmed by the technology, the sheer technology of it, and managing through all of that. It creates a lot of stress and pressure. So again, with simplicity, how can we do this and not have to worry about, if I've got to farm it out, if I've got to have a remote aided session to reprogram a Mercedes, that's perfectly fine. The
Right.
less burden that I can give, like my guys are cranking it out and they're working, but I'm always looking for ways to not burn them out. And I think the industry's seen a lot of that. That could be a whole nother topic. I'm sure the topic has been covered a lot. But my point is, as shop owners and management, we want to be productive. We want to follow key metrics. Like, we all need to be in business. We all got to meet our goals, our personal goals as shop owners and management. But at the end of the day, if you're not looking for moments of stress happening in your organization and what you can do from a resource point of view, that's what I see. And so more so than ever, because these things are complicated. I always said it's easy driving to what's broken, and did you actually fix it where the work is? And so whatever we can do to resource that out, it helps reduce the stress.
Frank, your list ended. What else can we talk about here? I know you've got things that you didn't expose in the community. So tell me, what else do you see that it's better than people than car count?
Yeah, so I really believe, those that know me in the industry, I really believe that your shop is more than just to fix a car. It really is embedded in the community. I'll give an example. I mean, we do so many events, and my plan is to continue that mantra up here in Cave Creek. When you have an free oil changes for school teachers, we had vendors chip in, and we had, we do about 300 of these, maybe 80 that Saturday, but 300 over a period of time. My point is, when you have a client that comes in who's there to help, and there's a school teacher that can't afford, we would do the inspection, they have a fuel leak, and that individual says, you know what, let me take care of that. I'll pay for it. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's what we should get jazzed for. Like, it's a given. You're going to train. You're going to get your metrics down. You're going to do well. But we are nothing if we cannot be the micro of our communities, because the macro we have no control over. So many of us are doing that, and it's beautiful to see it. I've seen it hardcore over 10 years. I'll give you another sort of deal that we had that I feel it necessary always to pay it forward to my brethren and sisters in the industry. I worked with Chevron doing some film works for them, and they're getting ready to hire more people out of Madison Avenue. It's like, no, time out. You got Bill Nalu in Detroit. We got Rocky Comedian on the West Coast. You can use his facility, and it's like bringing it back to our community. You don't have to hire the actor. Right. You've got talent in this community. And so imagine if we did that, all of us, every one of us, and it's not about championing the repair and championing the ideology of we're all humans and how we can lift each other up. And I don't want to sound cheesy, but that's just kind of how we grow our life and grow our functionability of what we're doing so we can have fun with it.
I love it. It's a great point. One of the things that our world relies on is transportation to get to work, to do the things we have to do for family, for food, and to be able to step up and help the community. I think we're one of the only industries. I mean, you can't drive to a plumber's place with your broken sink. They have to come to you. They can always bring you their problem. And we have a universal solution to to the biggest need besides having a home is your vehicle, because it's freedom. And I think it's a great point. And let's challenge our industry to say, are you doing oil changes for teachers on what specific day of the month? How does that work?
Yeah, it's usually in the fall. Actually, that event is done July, August. We have Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That's usually done around the holidays. That's a big media hit for us. And by the way, I'm more than happy, anyone listening or watching, to get over my marketing calendar that's really rich in community events. It's a yearly thing. I wanted to say this. I didn't always have sort of this belief. There's a gentleman in the industry many years ago. I've been just blessed to meet so many cool people, because as long as I'm breathing, and many of us listening and watching this, we never stop learning. We learn our way. Some of us, we're auditory, we're visual. And Carm, you're a testament to the vast knowledge of a library that always say, man, if I had remarkable results back in the mid 90s, and I had Mitch Snyder on the show. Mitch is a rock star. That's all we had. We had Mitch Snyder, his articles, and there you go.
That's right. Yeah.
My point is, at the end of the day, you can reflect on the nuts and bolts of activity. But for us to really succeed, and if we want to be stellar as an industry in front of the consumer, some of us complain, they'd rather get their teeth work done than come see us, mechanics and technicians. It really just starts with us, period. And that's for real. So if you're a younger operator, think about the pride of how you walk on your property and how you transcend that to your team. It's the simple things and the simplicity of it all. I've seen a lot of operators get analysis paralysis, like they're day trading for a living with 18 screens, and they lose the ability. It's always this sort of high altitude. That's where you live. You can touch high altitude and look at things from afar, but it's so important to get into the we of what we do. And absolutely no one eats alone. And that's fact.
I love it. I have Mitch Snyder's book, Misfire, here in the studio, right here.
I have it too, yeah.
I'll never forget when I first called Mitch many years ago to come on the show and interview Mitch. I mean, because he was a rock star to me. I just loved it. And I said, wow,
he's one of my mentors.
If I could get an episode with Mitch Snyder, man, I made it. And so I did. And we became great friends. And I haven't talked to him in about 6 months. So thank you for the reminder. I've got to reach out to Mitch. And I think that's another really important thing. We've gotten to be such an industry where networking is a power source for us. Let us not forget to reach out and stay in touch with all those great people that we've gotten to know over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
Bring this to a conclusion for me, Frank. Wrap it up.
Yeah. So, I mean, love on what you do, even during the firestorm of what you do, because there will be firestorms, and also allow other people to love on you. One of the things that can really cause you moments of heartache is you feel leadership equals you standing alone, ready to jump off a cliff. That's the feeling you have in your gut, in your mind, in your spirit. Allow everyone in your organization to help you, and the help is there, and accept the help. We love to give, but sometimes we reject receiving. And I think that's important to any rock star business. Work on it every day and enjoy it and trust that journey.
Wrench Nation TV, did it all come out of the fact that you were doing the radio show? Remind me how EVIT, the college and the radio station and then where Wrench Nation TV all came from. Help me.
Right. So WrenchNation.TV is the website. I invite many to watch. We got YouTube episodes, podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. Look, it started like it was a way for me to figure out to consistently, I'd show up to advisory board meetings at several schools, and those were great. But I thought to myself, here's this currently #1 high school radio station that's played on an FM signal here in the Phoenix market, right here in our backyard, with a great automotive program that ranked consistently with Skills USA. So I said, I could go to any radio station. I love all things live. That's where I live. Yeah. And we said, let's do this live show. And that started almost 9 years ago. It's a great way for me to highlight the industry, especially my live listening audience. There are a lot of parents, a lot of students. And so we have grown guests from all over the world highlighting this story. I've had many shop owners on highlighting what they're doing. Yep. We do cover how-to once in a while, but really it's a lifestyle show. And that show's really blossomed to where, I get 3 to 5 pitches a week from PR firms to have folks on their show. We just covered the Tail of the Dragon this past episode with the Tapaco Lodge in North Carolina. And, I enjoy it. I love taking people on a colorful journey and highlighting the stories of life. I just happen to be in the automotive industry, so that's kind of the emphasis right now. The future is strong. I'd like to someday do this full time. And over the years, I've been blessed to be able to be approached by brands like Honeywell and Chevron. And currently I'm working with ZF North America, doing some of their filming in the shop from our Inside the Garage series. It's sort of an educational, promotional of some of their product lineup. I enjoy it. It's like singing in the shower. I hope I can enjoy my own song. And if I do that and a few other people can jump on, isn't that what that's about? We got to sort of keep showing up every day and loving on what we do.
Well, it's been great to watch your success through all the years that I've known you for the last, I think 5, maybe 6, wait a minute, more than that, by 9 some years.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe 9, almost 10 years, Frank. And you've done so many great things. And the thing I love about it is your passion to bring the automotive to the world, not only to our own on the professional level, all the shop owners that we know and all the great suppliers, but just to bring the individual who still has an affinity for and the love of the automobile and appreciates just wanting to hear new different things. Go to WrenchNation.TV and have a blast. Hang out on that website. A lot of fun there.
Well, thank you, Carm. You as well. We got a Library of Congress cooking, someday Smithsonian level of information and education over at Remarkable Results. You rock.
Yeah, we put that stuff together. We will have a congressional. We have to have a congressional library.
You're really amazing what you've done for the industry, and I thank you for that. Many of us in the industry are grateful. You know that.
And you too, Frank. Thank you so much. Frank Leutz, Desert Car Care from Cave Creek, Arizona. Finally bought his building. Damn, so proud, so excited. Frank says, I now own the commercial real estate. And so
I get to come here at night, turn on the lights. It's property ownership.
Maybe that's your retirement someday. You're gonna.
Well, we'll see. I don't think I'll retire. That's the problem.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate your time, bud.
Thank you, Carm. Thanks for hanging.